Watch out, it's a live mic.
This is Mark McNease in New York City with my co-host Rick Rose in Shreveport, Louisiana, and you're listening to another edition of Live Mic Weekend. Happy weekend, Rick.
Hi, Mark. Happy weekend. I've been coaching you in the green room how to open your show, and then you failed me and you did it the way you wanted to do it.
Well, no, but what did you say I should say?
You should say, hello, everyone, or...
Hello. Hey, well, you know what I had in my head was Good Morning Vietnam, because I saw that there was something about that on TV. But anyways, no, I had been saying to you in the green room that that I repeat myself all the time. The introduction says, you're listening to, this is another Live Mic Weekend with Mark and Rick. And but then I say it again. It's like, welcome to the live, you know what I mean? Welcome to the podcast. I don't want to repeat myself.
So maybe hello, Rick was good because you're going off of, it's Mark and Rick. And then you're like, hey, Rick. And then I'm like, hey, everyone. Good morning, Mark. And welcome the audience, because we have to include the audience because it really is about our listeners, our 5 listeners.
It is about, I know. Well, we have 5 now? Oh, my God, that's amazing. That's like Savannah having this couple on that they're, we'll talk about this too because it fits into some of my topics. You know, anybody can be like famous now. It doesn't even mean anything anymore to be famous. So Savannah has this couple on, and they did, I don't know if it was a wedding, like a proposal or some shit, and it like 100,000 retweets. So there's this thing that purports to be a news program, legitimate information, and there's Savannah. You know, Matt Lauer, they all do this crap, and it's like they have the couple on, and what did your family think of your 100,000 retweets? And I'm like, is it any surprise that some deranged son of a bitch shoots a reporter in the head and tweets it?
Oh, God, no.
Because that's what I'm going to talk about. It's like our culture is so far down the wrong road of making people famous and making people feel like there's somebody because 100,000 strangers retweeted their shit. And it's damaging. I'm just worried about where we're headed as a society.
Well, especially with the recent killing because of the situation, like even the New York paper putting it on the cover, you know, and really what the cover was about shot live on video. I mean, it wasn't about just a shooting. It was the fact that it was live on video, exactly to what you're saying. And the 3 images, which I just scrolled through because it was horrific, because I had no idea. I'd seen it on my social media when I was reading stories on my news feed, and then just 3 slices of the before, middle, and after. I shouldn't even talk about it because I'm empowering it. But you're right. I mean, that's what sold that. You know, that's what they wanted, was to capture it live on video. Anyway, yes.
Well, yeah, and that was my first topic, so we'll use that. It's her name was Allison Parker. She was like 27 or something. She was the reporter for WDBJ. These numbers always trip me up. And Tom Ward was the videographer. And the guy who killed them was named Vesper Flanagan. He went by Bryce something. And but anyway, so of course the right jumps on the fact that he sent this 23-page suicide fax and talked about being an aggrieved, you know, gay, black, whatever, I started to say gay homosexual. That's redundant. But anyway, so the right wing is going like, you know, this is victimology taken to the extreme. But anyways, my thing with it is, and I wrote about this on Facebook. We always have to bring up Facebook in these conversations, is that because I believe in gun control. I think it's necessary, but I also don't have a problem with gun ownership. And in the minute, like the same day these murders happen, there's the president, we must have gun control, and there's Hillary, we must have gun control. And I started thinking, why doesn't anybody address the fact that we don't have universal health care so people with mental problems can get help? You know what I mean? There are deeper cultural issues. Why do we make people famous? This guy shot her in the head and tweeted the video, you know? He killed people and tweeted it, and that's the culture we're living in. And somebody needs to address that, because it's not just about the availability of guns, and that was my point.
I agree. I think to challenge everyone, what can you do personally to make a difference? If it is like her father, Allison's father, saying, you know, he's taking it on now as gun control issue, and so is the governor of Virginia. But as the governor of Virginia was saying, it's like a hamster wheel. It gets going like what happened in Connecticut. It goes and then it stops, goes and stops. What can you do personally if you were Facebook or Twitter? As you know, they pulled it as soon as it was posted and they found out about it. They pulled it. That's the best thing they can do. But what can you do working in like the media that I work in? I work for Gannett, one of the largest news organizations. What can I personally do when I sit in management meetings to talk about let's not, purport these things or let's not put these things out there? And I will tell you that we've made a mission not to. So I think you're right. It's what can you do? If you work in the mental, health industry, what can I do to make it more accessible to people that need it, blah, blah, blah. I agree with you. I think you're right. There are different angles to approach it because it is more complex than just take guns out of people's hands. Although, as you know, I'm a huge proponent of that.
Yes, I know.
You're right.
I know. Yeah, and I thought some people would, especially my liberal friends, because I can always tell who's going to like things I post on there. I have conservative family and friends, and I have lots of progressive friends. And like whenever I post anything that like might be perceived as conservative or right leaning, none of my liberal friends likes it. But I was going to say one thing that I think, and this is not going to happen. This is just me and why I'm bringing it up, and then we'll go to another topic. I think places like the Today Show, these outlets, I know that they've got to have numbers, they've got to have ratings, but stop making people famous for garbage. Stop it. This, these people who have their weddings and then they do this choreography shit, and it's all calculated to get, to go viral on YouTube. Stop giving them these platforms. And the same thing with the public. I'm going to stop watching shit because it's got a million views. So what? I mean, that encourages this madness.
You're so right. Even on the local news level, they have reporters that are just about finding viral videos. I know locally here, every station has someone that's part of their job responsibility, and that's what they report on. Hey, what's the hot video today? But moreover, what you said, because I do work in the advertising part of the media, and the reason for higher ratings, as you're saying, Mark, is to produce revenue from our advertisers. But if you really look at those advertisers, is that the way they want the higher numbers? I would guarantee if the media outlet said, hey, dear advertiser, do you want us to run these kind of stories so you get higher ratings? Absolutely-not. I mean, they're not going to, I love that word, absolutely-not.
I like it. That's like you're going to talk about words, too, so you can fit that in there.
Yeah, we'll segue into that next. That's good. New words in the dictionary. But, yeah, I mean, that's not how they want to get the ratings. But do they really have a say until there's something that happens and then they boycott it, like Winter Olympics, blah, blah, blah. I want to talk about new words.
By the way, I had a viral video, just full disclosure, so I don't just sound like somebody who's jealous. I had a 1.9 million viewed video. It was 3 years old. It was 90 seconds. It was bizarre, and and I made like $100.
It was bizarre. It was kind of threatening and cubicle based, and go check it out. Mark McNease, YouTube. Type in his name. You'll look for it. It's very interesting. Mic drop. Made the Oxford Dictionary, introducing new words on Wednesday. Mark, a lot of great words. Have you seen some of the words that they put in this year?
No, tell me though, because I have some that I can't stand. But you tell me what the new words are.
I bet a few are. Mic drop is one of them. Which I
mic drop.
Mic drop.
What is it?
We're done. Our bell is a mic drop. This is our mic drop. Mic drop is like you're talking. Cool. You've never seen anybody write this? It's so funny. It's like
no, but I know they do that crap on stage. I'm sure that's where it comes from. Kanye started it.
Voting for Hillary Clinton, mic drop, or something like that. I don't use it effectively. It's kind of more a hipster word.
Talk to the mic.
Beer o'clock, mic drop. Are you okay with that now?
I like it. Yeah, I will never use it, but sure.
End of set. Oh no, I know you will. Work it into a Facebook post this week, okay? That's your challenge. Beer o'clock. Here's one of my least favorite words. Awesome sauce.
Oh my God, Stephanie uses that all the time. Our friend Stephanie Mott.
Well, I don't like the word. Do you?
I'm okay with it because I like her.
Love her. Here's something that relates to you. Redditor, like someone that reads Reddit.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Redditor.
A manspreading made it. Remember, there was manscaping made it, I think, last year. This year, manspreading. I understand the manspreading just kind of like launched on the Today Show when they did a story on manspreading, but you face it in New York more than we do anywhere else.
Well, just a note to the people who complain about it. We have balls. That's why we do that.
Right.
Go ahead.
There's a reason. That's a whole nother conversation when women adjust their bras, and it's okay to do, but the minute I adjust my ball sack, they don't like it, Mark. It's true.
You're taking up space.
Yep. Butt dial. Now that I like, because I think
that's old. That's like 10 years ago.
I know they finally had to get it in there. Cat Cafe. You're a cat lover. You get what a cat cafe is?
No, I know what a death cafe is, but what's a cat cafe?
I think a cat cafe is like a big spread of cats. Like, cat lovers have all these cats spread out like a cat cafe. I believe, if I'm wrong, let me know. And another one, this is interesting. I've never heard the word used. Hangry.
Hangry?
Yeah.
Like hang angry?
Yes, like hangry. Like, you know how you get when your blood sugar is low? You get hangry. You're irritable.
Oh, hungry and angry. Hungry. Oh, that's a real program thing. They could use that in the program. As soon as they can talk about their higher power, sense of humor, and being hangry.
Well, that's it. So, hangry. Love it. Those are the new words in the Oxford Dictionary.
I got some stuff to say about this, because I'll take out one of my topics to make some space.
Okay, I just take it back. Hold on. You remember how we take that back?
Okay, let's go. We used to be able to do that when we did video. People could watch us. A number of the words that you say that they put out there they're called portmanteau, and it's when you take the beginning of one word and the ending of another word and you put them together. There is a right way to do that, and what is now often used the wrong way. Like sexting actually works because you have sex and texting, and there are other examples of words where it works, but now everybody mashes these words together and it doesn't work. Mansplaining doesn't work. Sexplaining might work because you're explaining sex. Sexplaining. Mansplaining doesn't work. I can't stand anything coupled with splaining. Cannot stand it. Cisplaining, none of it. Hate it. And so I'm just putting that out there because I hate it when people mash these words up. They don't know the etymology, or they don't know the origin of that. It is actually a thing when you put two words together, and it's all done wrong now, and it's all done stupid. Like mansplaining, manspreading. It doesn't mean anything. I can't stand it. So there you go.
Well, I agree. And my whole thing there, it's going to turn into this anti-male thing before you know it, because all these words are tactful of men. I think what's happening is women become more empowered, men are going to be more emasculated. And I don't think it's a result of the first case. I think it's just happening. We're starting to act like men are dumb, and men are animals, and men are hairy creatures that just seek sex and stuff like that. Hey, that was a segue to our next subject, by the way. Men seeking sex. Got it?
Yes. Yeah, I was trying to think of something for women that we could just throw out there that would be offensive, but I can't right now.
There you go. We don't want to do that. But one last comment on this here right there. Okay, we'll move on. But there's a lot of words being added to the dictionary which I don't get to, like initials. Like NBD is an official word in the Oxford Dictionary now, which stands for no big deal. RLY stands for really. SJW, social justice warrior. Okay,
oh, my God. Oh, my God.
I know, crazy. I got to get you riled up. Men having sex. Go ahead, Mark. Take the topic.
A Rentboy, right? We're talking about Rentboy?
Rentboy, but let's back it up. So Rentboy made the news, big crash down on this big thing, and I'll talk about it in a minute, which there's a big controversy. They were saying it was a social site where men just met men. They closed it down this week, I think on August 25th. They came into the offices in New York City, confiscated everything, found out it was really just, hustling on the internet, pay for play, if you will, people having sex with men and buying it online. But the reason I was into it was because this whole, what's it called, Dolly Madison or whatever?
Ashley Madison, butt cakes.
Yeah, now you got some scoop there, cupcakes. I didn't know this scoop that you were just telling me this morning in the green room.
Yes, Ashley Madison, because they are related. By the way, I just thought of another proper example of a portmanteau. Hacktivist. A hacker who's an activist. Hacktivist. That is a proper portmanteau.
There are a lot of hacktivists out there. Okay, next year we'll rally for it.
So Ashley Madison, Gizmodo, which is like a techie website thing, crunched the data. Whatever they did, and they demonstrated that there were very few live females on the Ashley Madison website. Now, if anybody who doesn't know, Ashley Madison is for people, married people looking for adulterous relationships or hookups, whatever it might be. But it turns out that you had all these millions of men who have now been, had their information put out there, and so women can rail against these bastard husbands. Because I was seeing a lot of criticism of these shitty, evil husbands, and I said, what about the women? You got to have, unless they're having sex with each other, there had to be women on this website. But it turns out that they were all fake. Most of them were fake, and these guys were talking to fake accounts or each other, and it's bizarre. So their lives are ruined for nothing. And then I read that the hacktivist did it because of that, because they found out that these were fake women accounts. So they busted them.
Well, that could be true because a friend of mine so it happened locally. There was a gentleman that resigned from being the head of the football team here, some high school football team, because he was found to be on it. Here's one of these prolific guys evangelizing about, being God-fearing and all that stuff. But what's interesting about it is she was telling me something about it yesterday. My trainer, Pam, she was telling me about the fact that it was the hacktivists all happened because this church, this anti-gay church, kind of said we got to crash the site. So I don't know the whole thing. I got to read about it, but that's very interesting. But what I found fascinating, back to the Rentboy thing, so it was August 25th, Department of Homeland Security raided the offices over them in New York. They said it was a site that was a global criminal enterprise. 7 people, including the company's CEO, his name was Jeffrey Harant, were arrested. The site, now I never heard of the site. Did you, Mark? Rentboy.com?
Oh, yes, I've heard of Rentboy.
Okay, and you're in New York. They probably advertised in the back of, Village Voice or whatever. But it had a database of more than 10,500 men in 2,100 cities. A lot of popular gay adult film actors were actually on the site and provided services. 500,000 unique visitors daily, 20,000 Twitter followers, huge. But what I found interesting is to open up this whole subject about, why not? We dealt with legal same-sex marriage, then we dealt with legal marijuana, which is almost there, and now we got to talk about legalizing sex like they do in Amsterdam. And that's what it's really amounted to. There's a great little about 7-minute documentary that a videographer that does these different kind of gay porn things created, and it's called Love Me, Want Me, Rent Me, and it's focused on one of the sex workers, if you will, that's on the site. He posts on the site. His name is Rob Yeager. And it's really powerful, Mark. You got to check it out because he does it. He works in the sex industry and had posts on Rentboy.com because he has a partner that was disabled when they lived in Chicago. He was disabled 16 years ago. And the documentary it interviews Rob, it interviews his boyfriend. And Rob claims he does it for 3 reasons. Number one, he does it because he has to raise money for taking care of his boyfriend. Number 2, he does it because he lacks intimacy. He and his partner no longer have sex, so he feels he can do it. And number 3, the big focus of it is he says, often I get called on these, calls, and I've seen some of the most beautiful apartments in New York City by these wealthy, older people. He didn't even say older. He said wealthy people. And we just sit and have coffee or tea or a glass of wine and talk because they are suffering from intimacy issues. So it's an interesting twist that I think is really generating a larger conversation about sex work and decriminalizing it, and we'll see where it heads. But big week in sex for sure, Mark.
Well, and I have long been a proponent of decriminalizing sex work. I have no problem with it, and I mean, I don't know. I don't think it should be a crime. It just shouldn't be a crime. And the only thing I would say with Rentboy.com, this whole thing, is that I don't know the facts. I don't know why they were raided. I mean, if it was just because of the prostitution, then that is a conversation to be had. But also, who knows if there was money laundering? You just don't know. It's like back in the 60s, and even still, by rumor, gay bars were run by the mafia. So you don't really know all of the details. All we know is that they raided Rentboy, they shut it down, and now everybody's saying, a lot of activists especially are saying this is terrible, stop harassing and persecuting sex workers. So, and I'm with them on that. But I also say we don't know what the feds are looking at. We don't know where, you know what I'm saying. It could be.
Yeah, and this specific situation, time will tell. However, it has opened up a good conversation, whatever the circumstances are. I agree with you there.
Absolutely. I think I'm done. I had the Roanoke. They're lifting the trans ban in May. Pentagon is lifting the ban on transgender service members in May. So look for the right to just totally flip out over that. And then I just wanted to say something because actually we had a Caitlin-free podcast this weekend, which I think is fabulous. But there was in the New York Times there was a piece this morning about a judge, and I'm trying to find her name really quick. It's Phyllis Rife, something like that. But 40 years ago, Phyllis was Philip. And she transitioned 40 years ago, and she went door to door letting her neighbors know that the person they knew as Philip would soon be Phyllis. And I thought, this is amazing. This is courage. This is really Anyways, I don't know if you know where I'm going with this, but I thought this is a story.
No, but I love that story.
But I thought this is a story that people need to know, because I have reservations about the media storm that is Caitlyn Jenner, and she gets the Courage Award. But there are people who have been courageous, like when there were no reality TV cameras around. So props to her.
I agree. I want to read the story. Is she still practicing as a judge on the bench?
Look at it. It's on my Facebook page. I put it. Oh, it's on the LGBTSR page. I don't put everything on my personal page because I got some gun lovers on there.
Right. And for those of you, you may find this podcast on lgbtsr.org, but if you haven't, check out lgbtsr.org.
And iTunes. Just go onto iTunes and type up Live Mike with Mark or Live Mike Podcast.
Live Mike with Mark.
It's on iTunes. It's on SoundCloud. It's everywhere.
It is. My final word is we talked last week about the changes over 10 years because of the post-storm, what's been happening post-Katrina down in New Orleans. Yesterday was the official anniversary. A lot of my media friends that work on air here, it's been a big week for them, as you can imagine, having to deal with the shooting of their colleagues, if you will, or their fellow professionals, and dealing with what that meant to them. As you know, I spent about 9 years on camera myself, maybe even a little more than that, probably about 15 years total, and how that affected their thoughts and their process. And then many of my local friends here in Shreveport taking a 5-hour drive and broadcasting live down in New Orleans because, of course, the Shreveport Times, with which I work through Gannett, did a story about 2 evacuees that came from New Orleans and set up shop here. And I can't tell you, it is such a fabric of our world here. You don't realize it, but in the last week, and I think it's because of the 10th anniversary, I talked to a lot of friends and stories of Katrina came up. I was having wine the other night and realized that this woman really was from New Orleans, and she had moved her life here 10 years ago. Went to an AIDS benefit last night with my friend Jody Glorioso, a wonderful person. Look forward for you and Frank to meet her when you come visit me next. And we talked a lot. Her brother was a huge doctor down in New Orleans and lived in a tent side by side the hospital. And if it wasn't for the fact that while he was practicing and living out of the tent city, sent his kids up here to be raised by her mother and his mother, their grandmother, their lives wouldn't have went the route they went. And they wouldn't have had the opportunity to go to the same high school he did, and some things changed in their lives because of Katrina. And we're looking at a lot of those positive stories, but you can go online and look at a lot of the changes. Last week we talked about the homeless situation. They're purporting great successes in the school systems over 10 years, how it's better now than it was then. A lot of people don't realize that when Katrina happened, the parish public schools all converted, the school districts converted to a new school system called Recovery School District. And that entity was created to transform failing institutions into high-performing charter schools. Today, they claim 92% of students are actually enrolled in charter schools down there. And they go on to talk a lot about, like 2004, before the storm, 54% of high schoolers actually graduated. Today, nearly 73% are graduating. And as you and I both know, and our listeners, you can slice and dice numbers, whatever, but there are many, many positive stories. Many people know about Charity Hospital, which was forced to close its doors. Well, on August 1st, the new hospital has opened, the University Medical Center in New Orleans, a $1.1 billion project in federal, state, and private rebuilding. It's a $2.3 million facility that is going to be accessed and give access to those that are on lower income. Down pre-storm, people would take 6 months to see a doctor. Now they can go in and get the care that they're looking for. So just the rising feelings going on in New Orleans, where we were 10 years ago and where we are today. You can always see the positive in the rainbow at the end of the storm.
And you can see the rainbows in the positive.
In the positive?
You can see the rainbows. I don't know. I'm losing.
Don't be a hacktivist.
So, by the way,
that word's going in. We've used it 5 times so far. Hacktivist.
I like hacktivist. Now, there's no show next weekend. We're going to Delaware, Bethany Beach. We leave Friday. We're there till Tuesday. I'm chilling. I'm unplugging everything.
I don't know about you, but when I go on vacation, I'm there for you. We do a show. Okay,
Rick.
Well, that's your call.
No, but I want you to know. I want you to know, Rick. She doesn't have where we're going. No, I'm going to explain this now and take up more time. She doesn't have Wi-Fi in the house. Which means I would have to use my phone, which means there goes all my data. Yeah. So I don't.
Free data plan.
No, I don't think so.
Unlimited. $100.
No, I mean, normally, yes. If we were going to a hotel, of course I would do this next Saturday, but we're going to be in a house with no Wi-Fi, so.
No, I know. I want you to get a break because otherwise you will become an activist. You can't get to that point of exploding and imploding. You need your break, Mark.
So were you just mansplaining that to me?
Yeah, boo. You need to. Hey, by the way, I know you do a lot of stuff in writing and in audio and stuff. Do you still do like tips for people? Like, remember when I was giving you tips once in a while? It didn't last long, but like household tips and stuff.
No, I haven't done that in a long time.
I got a real quick one. In tomatoes, beautiful. Do you like tomatoes?
I love it, and we'll close with this.
And we'll close with this. It's a good, helpful, like, what was her name that did these little tips? A lot of people think you got to refrigerate and leave them on the counter. What do you do? But if you put it in the refrigerator, it takes the flavor out of them. But if you boil some water to 125 degrees, drop your tomatoes in there real quick, and pull them out immediately, then put them in the refrigerator, that little short hit of hot water to them will lock their flavor in and keep their flavor when they're in the refrigerator. Ta-da.
I love that. That's amazing because Frank won't let me put them in the refrigerator. That's good to know. I'll tell him.
Okay, I'm going to send you this information so you can show him, okay?
Okay, and now that you made me feel guilty, if you want to do this on Friday, well, I don't know. We'll talk.
No, there's no guilt. Guilt comes from within, Mark.
Okay, good. Then there's no show next weekend. I'm taking a damn 5-day holiday.
No, we'll have a lot of information in 2 weeks to share with our public.
Yes. Okay. Bye.
Yes. All right. Bye, everybody. Thank you, Mark.